Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you're in the world. Welcome to my Instagram TV/Instagram Live. We are studying the book of Enoch, as I have pinned below. We're on chapters 73 to 75 today. Don't worry if you are not caught up, nor if you don't know what is going on, because neither do I. So instead of just reading the book today, I'm going to do something a little bit different. And I'm going to kind of discuss what I'm thinking and open up the discussion early to what you guys are thinking as well. If you have been following the book of Enoch, this portion is meant to be interactive, as I don't think that it makes much sense for me to dive into something that I'm not sure of. So yeah, just keep it open to discussion instead of, trying to find the truth and whatever. I'll be honest. I think that even starting from chapter 72, I think that there's a lot of inconsistencies in their theories between what we know today. So what we were talking about yesterday was, well, it's possible that maybe there was a different kind of setup of the world. Maybe it's evolved since then, etc., etc. The world we never know, and nor maybe it's not our place to know. But I'll just point out the reason why I'm kind of taking this approach right now, in comparison to how I've been studying the book of Enoch. So before I was able to find cross-references within the Bible to kind of like back up the statements that were in the book of Enoch. But because the book of the luminaries doesn't have any cross-references that are consistent with the Bible, it leads me to believe that this could be altered. And I don't really want to go into altered literature. For example, in the chapter 72, it's talking about the sun. And it says that the sun has a circumference of the size of heaven. Its circumference is like heaven's circumference. It is filled with fire that illuminates and heats. And then now in chapter 73, it says the moon. The moon, her circumference is like the circumference of heaven. So basically it's saying that the moon and the sun are both the same circumference. We know that that is something that's not true. We know that the moon is clearly smaller than the sun. But then it's like I said, it's contradicting, because it also says it's a smaller light called the moon. So it's saying that it's smaller than the sun, but at the same time it's saying that they have the same circumference. So I really wouldn't look too much into the details of the luminary chapters. I think they were based off of speculation, and it doesn't really seem to me like that of prophecy. So where did this information come from? Is this information from the angels and they shared it? And as we know, going back to the stories about the angels, and specifically the fallen angels, we know what God said about the knowledge that he was given, or the knowledge that they were given. And he said that that there was some secrets that he kept to himself. He did not give them all of the secrets, because he prepared for not being able to trust the secrets in anybody's hands. So, like I said, maybe this information is not valid. It does not seem like the word of God. In other words, it alludes to a flat earth. I don't believe in that. But it does talk about the earth or the moon's rotation around the earth, which, okay, we could subscribe to that. It says that the phases, the lights change every month, basically. So its rising and setting changes every month, and its days are like the days of the sun, and when its light is uniform, it is the 7 parts of the 7th light. We do know that the moon is on a schedule from its phases. Every month we get a full moon, so maybe that's what that's referring to. I don't know. But basically, I don't subscribe to it, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. What do you guys think? I really would like to just skip the whole luminary part altogether, but I don't want to miss anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to read it, but I'm just going to check in with you guys every day to, kind of say, okay, well, I think this chapter is relevant, or I don't think that this chapter is relevant, because maybe you guys found some relevancy into it. So I'm going to open up the discussion to the comments early, and let me know if I'm wrong, and let me know if you have found something else. Okay. I think you should talk more about Jesus and his teachings. Well, I would love to, but we're doing a book series. This is not, anything other than a book series where I read a book. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a pastor. I'm somebody that is trying to learn the word as I go along, and it's nothing that I'm what is it called? I'm not a professional at this or anything like that. So I don't want you guys to get it misconstrued. Of course I love Jesus. Of course I love God. But the purpose of this live isn't for me to preach to you guys in any way, shape, or form. If I do find something from the word and I feel inspired by it, then of course I'm going to share, and et cetera, et cetera. And I was hoping that the Book of Enoch would lead to a lot of lessons that we could apply to our daily lives. And some of the chapters have. It's just this one particular section of the chapters of the luminaries doesn't seem to be resonating with me. So I'm not going to fake the funk. That is what it is. And we shall move past it. Is deep faith science? How would God know what you use belief for? Is deep faith science? No. Faith is more of a virtue. It's not based off of facts. It's more based off of will. So, your belief system is something that's a personal thing, whereas science is you have to test it, and it's theory based off of evidence and that kind of thing. So, sometimes the two cross. Fawn says, I felt like skipping that too, but maybe that circumference part is only in one version. And then that's another thing, is a possibility of, is these translations not matching up with what they truly meant back then? Is it poorly translated? Like, for example, when it says, when it talks about the moon, it says her circumference is like the circumference of heaven, and her chariot, which she rides, is driven by the wind. That, if you read that literally, then you would think, okay, there's some kind of platform that the moon uses to get around from point A to point B, and that platform is driven by the wind. But that could be a poetic way of saying the path that the moon takes is driven by the wind. Or also, the word for wind in Hebrew is the same word for spirit. So is it talking about the spirit of the way that the moon moves, etc., etc.? So you have to be very careful with these kind of books and the way that they're translated, because you don't know if they mean literal or not. Kenny Dave Touch says, yes, it was altered. I'm thinking it was. I'm not even really thinking so much about it being altered. Well, yeah, being altered, of course. I don't think that these are Enoch's words. I think that whoever wrote the Book of the Luminaries is somebody that was studying astrology from the Earth's perspective. This seems like very limited information that's based off of what you can see from being on the Earth's surface. It doesn't seem like it's advanced knowledge in any way, shape, or form. Like, seeing that the moon revolves around the Earth within a 30-day period, like I said, you could observe that. All you have to do is look up at the moon and you'll see the different phases, and every month it's a new moon. Those are things that we've figured out as humans. This doesn't seem like information that we're privy to, or that we were privy to because of spiritual divine intervention. So it also explains, if I'm going to uphold that possibility, then that would also explain why it seems like they're describing a flat Earth, because back then they definitely didn't have any of the advanced knowledge of knowing the possibility of the Earth being spherical or not being flat. They didn't have airplanes and that kind of thing. Sure, they had ships, but did they ever go that far? It took them a very long time in advancement to be able to travel that far. So, like I said, it just seems like very primitive knowledge, more so. Nate says, sounds like a human perspective for its time, not God-breathed, as it's not accurate and not scripture. Exactly. I believe it means that the sun... Cello Lamour says, I believe it means that the moon and the sun are round. Yes, when it says circumference, that does depict that they are round. But, the issue that I was having with it was saying that the circumference is like that of heaven, but it also said that about the moon and the sun at the same time. So that would kind of, tell us that they're saying that they're the same size. And then it's saying that the moon is smaller. So how are they the same size, but the moon is smaller? It just not making sense. Fawn says, it's hard to explain. It's like I feel like our imagination should open up and use logic to understand God and figure out how he feels long term, not in a certain point in time. Yeah. And then, I'll keep on coming back to this point. Is this information relevant information? Are we supposed to even explore this? Is it necessary for our walk to understanding God and his word? I'm not thinking so. Nate says, I know what you mean. It feels like a lot of filler, and whether it's false witness, misinterpretation, or simply the best way they can describe astrology at the time, sounds like human understanding. I could not agree more. So, I think we're all on the same page with that. I don't really see anybody else objectifying or objecting to this. So, with that being said, I feel better about my decision to not really read it. Because I just really don't want to read something that I don't believe in. So, let's agree to skip that. Alright, so then that will lead us to... Chapter 76 looks like it's the 12 winds and their portals. I am going to actually read that tomorrow. I'm gonna go live a little bit earlier tomorrow. I'm gonna go live probably around like 12ish, noon, lunchtime. So I'm just gonna check in. I'm gonna do chapter 76 only. I'm gonna keep it simple. Allow some of you guys to just catch up if you're behind. And we'll touch base tomorrow and see how we're feeling. See if chapter 76, 77 through 78 are even explorable. And go for there. I'm also going to do some further research and see if maybe there's some articles that can point me in the right direction of understanding this portion of the book. But if there's not, you know, it is what it is. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for sticking with it. I know that this journey is not going to be the smoothest ride. It's not really an easy book to navigate through, but we're doing our best, and that's all that we can do. Thank you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Ciao.